Hello, everybody. Welcome to Townsend 505. My name is Nicholas. Joining me on today's review is Scott from Sound Lab Studios and Jacob from Jacob Martin.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, actually, I changed my last name. I'm now Jacob Jones.
Groovy Mr. Jacob Jones.
Oh yeah.
And that can
Jacob
have
Jones.
a double meaning for Brian Jones or Amanda Jones.
Well,
Yes.
maybe I married Amanda Jones.
Maybe you did.
Um, Today we're going to be reviewing the Rolling Stones' seventh American studio album, and that is Between the Buttons. Before we start reviewing this album, what do you guys got to say about the album? Your thoughts?
Alright. I thought this was another terrific album from the Rolling Stones. There's some parts of this album that are just as good as Aftermath. I'm not gonna lie. Now, is it gonna be better than Aftermath? You'll find out when we review the album. But another strong album from the Rolling Stones. I think we're at the peak years of the Rolling Stones at this point.
This album is very underrated in the Rolling Stones discography. And the fact that, one, I don't hear a lot of people talk about this album, which is weird because it's one of my favorite albums by them. Two, um, this doesn't really sound like anything else in the Rolling Stones catalog. It's kind of an oddball album, but I love it for that. It's them kind of doing like this piano-based pop songs with the frantic piano by Ian Stewart, kind of like a ragtime feel on a lot of the songs. Some of the songs are very crazy and whimsical, like "Cool, Calm, and Collected." It's just a real treat in the Stones discography because it's very unique, and I really think that it was a good choice to do this after Aftermath because instead of just doing after Aftermath, they decided to go kind of a different direction, and I really like the direction they took with this album.
My brief thoughts on this album. I think this is a fantastic album. I said this on the UK album ranking. I will say the same thing here. Uh, their albums from 1966 to 68 to me are all really good. It's my favorite period of the band from 66 to 68. And this is no exception. This is an amazing album. I'm very excited to talk about these songs. Uh, you open up the album with "Let's Spend the Night Together."
Oh, did you want to talk about where the name of the album comes from first?
Sure. Um, so well, I'll take that off. So basically, with the story of the album is that they were the they were asking them. They asked Charlie Watts what the name of the album is going to be, and in the UK, there's an expression called "between the buttons," meaning it's up in the air, kind of the way that they say it. So when they're like, "What's the name of the album?" He's like, "It's between the buttons." They thought of it as, "Oh, the album's name is Between the Buttons." Meanwhile, what Charlie Watts really meant to say is, "It's up in the air. We don't know." So pretty interesting error, but I think it really works towards their favor
And
because
if you look at the buttons on Charlie Watts's jacket, you can't see it because it's really small. But if it says between the buttons, the Rolling Stones, they blew it up on the hype sticker here. But
yeah.
what's written here, other than including Ruby Tuesday, the between the buttons and the Rolling Stones are both written on his buttons on his jacket.
Um, one more thing I want to ask before we read the album. What do you guys think of the album cover?
I like it fine. I think I like. I think if I'm remembering all the album covers, I don't think they have a bad album cover, at least at this point.
Yet.
As of yet, I know there's some coming up that we'll get to that are really, really bad cover. But this one, yeah, this one's pretty good. I think my favorite one so far is probably either Out of Our Heads or Aftermath, but this one's still a pretty solid album cover that shows all the members of the band. Sadly, no Ian Stewart, but the official members of the band.
I like this cover better than Aftermath, if you can believe that. I don't know what it is about it. Just like seeing the Stones outside really early in the morning with like a smudge on the lens. I don't know. I just think that's really cool.
It's always been one of my favorite album covers from them too. I agree with Scott. I think this
Yeah.
album cover
It looks like Charlie Watt whispered something to Brian Jones that was really funny, and then he quickly turned away, and Brian Jones is trying not to help but laugh at it.
Yeah, and like Brian,
Like,
and like,
see, like Charlie Watts turns his head away from Brian Jones, like, nope, I'm not gonna get caught. Brian Jones is like, I can't hold it in.
mhm. Who knows what the joke would have been? Might have been,
It's between the buttons.
yes. Track opening the album. Let's spend the night together.
All right. So this is one of the two big hits from the album. This was one of the few songs I've actually heard before listening to the album. Great piano on this song. I know Ian Stewart did this, the unofficial member. You can feel his fingerprints all over this album because there's a lot of great piano stuff on this album. And there's some really great harmonies on this song. And listening to it again, there's a couple songs throughout this album where I'm like, okay, the Rolling Stones must have listened to the Beach Boys, particularly Pet Sounds, because there's a lot of Beach Boys influences on this album, especially the harmonies on this track. I feel like this is a song the Beach Boys could have sang in their heyday. This one might be slightly edgier. This is like, to me, it's kind of like the wouldn't it be nice? Because wouldn't it be nice to be like, wouldn't it be nice to live together in the kind of world where we belong? We can get married and we'll be happy. It's like the traditional way of like, getting it on. It's like, forget that. Let's spend the night together. That's what this song is. I think the Beach Boys song is better in that front, but this still has a catchy groove to it. I love the piano work. There's some good harmonies on it. Believe it or not, this is not in my top 5. That shows you how good this album is when one of the biggest hits isn't even in my top 5. But still a memorable track from this album.
Yeah, Ian Stewart is all over this album. The piano on this song and pretty much the whole album is amazing. It's kind of like honky tonk sounding piano. Just as soon as it starts out, you're like, "Oh, this is going to be a good rocking song." And then the voices come in. It's funny when they did this on the Ed Sullivan show. Ed Sullivan wanted them to change it to "Let's Spend Some Time Together," and every time they sang that, like Mick Jagger rolled his eyes real big. But the harmonies are really good on this song. I love that like little middle section where it's just like do 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 do, and then Bill Wyman's bass is actually really good on this song as well. Him and Charlie are really keeping the groove. Charlie's drumming on this song is absolutely insane. It's really Ian Stewart and Charlie Watts and Bill Wyman who are holding this song down because they're grooving, and then Mick Jagger is just like singing over it, and it's a really rocking song, and I think it's one of the best songs on the album. We'll see if it makes my top 5, but
I really like this song. It's a standalone song. I really enjoy it. I will say I do prefer the UK version of this album. I don't think this song fits quite as well on this album as it does on the next album, which is Flowers. This is probably towards the bottom of this list, but when we cover Flowers, it's going to be a lot higher on that album. But yeah. Anyways, though, having that said, I think this is a great song. Really good opener. I agree. The drumming, the bass playing, and the piano is really what's keeping this song going. I think it's a really great song. Definitely a hit for a reason. Next song on the album, and interesting enough, was the opener to the UK version of this album, Yesterday's Papers.
I actually, if I had to compare the two songs, I think Let's Spend the Night Together is a better album opener than this song. So I'm glad they made the change for the US album. But that said, this is still a good song. I like the other song better. There's still a catchiness to it. That's kind of almost a night. It feels like something you'd hear on the radio at this time in the 1960s, but just Mick Jagger singing it. Is it one of my favorites on the album? No, I still think it's an enjoyable song though. Uh, a portion of the song does feel like a Beach Boys song to me as well. I guess this is like the closest the Rolling Stones got to a Beach Boys album, and I actually don't have a problem with that because it's cool seeing the influence.
So I guess this is Edgy Pet Sounds and not Aftermath.
Yeah, I think more so this album to me than Aftermath.
I'd say it's Edgy Rubber Soul. Aftermath.
Yesterday's Papers is good. However, I think it's probably my least favorite song on the album. As far as an opener goes, it's really bad for an opener. That's why I like that Let's Spend the Night Together as the opener on the US version of this album. I will say though, the thing I really like about this song is that like xylophone or whatever, or vibraphone, whatever Brian Jones is playing. That's what really makes the song. And the like harpsichord or whatever that is that they're playing as well. Those are the two things I like about the song. What I don't like about the song is it's like, who wants yesterday's papers? Who wants yesterday's girl? Like, what's his name who reviewed the album? Eric Burden. When he did his review of this album, said, I don't understand the message of the song, and I'm right there with him. It's like you just go around and it's like you have a new girl all the time or whatever. It's like you must never get into any real relationships, huh? But I like the sound and the production of this song kind of more than the actual song itself.
Yeah, I'm the one who likes the song the most. I actually like this better as the album opener. I think I like this better than the Let's Spend the Night Together song. I've always loved the song. I love the mini guitar solo in the middle. I love the chorus. I love the baroqueness to it. I'm a sucker for baroque songs. I've always really liked this song. This makes my top 5. Me personally, I find this to be one of my favorites off this album. Next song on the album, Ruby Tuesday.
Okay, so this is the song I'm the most familiar with out of all the songs from this album. This is another ballad from the Stones. I think this one was really crazy. My favorite songs from the last 2 albums have been these Baroque style ballads, As Tears Go By from December's Children and Lady Jane off of Aftermath. This one is another amazing song in this type of genre. I even like how it's more experimental than the other 2 because you got the Baroque elements, but it's also mixed with a little bit of psychedelic in there. And it's blended together quite nicely. The production on this song is amazing. There's a great piano part in there. There's also a recorder in this song. You don't expect to hear a recorder on a Rolling Stone song, but I just love how versatile Brian Jones is with a lot of these songs on this album and also on Aftermath as well. I think it's one of the saddest songs the Stones has ever done. As you can tell, this song is about the end of a relationship, and Mick Jagger actually evokes the pain while singing this song that I actually think makes it so believable. I think this is another fantastic track from the Rolling Stones, and it's one of my favorite songs on the album.
This song is amazing. I remember I had never heard like pretty much any songs by the Rolling Stones, and I had a specific sound that I associated them with. And then I heard this song. Well, I was kind of familiar with a few songs, but there's Beast of Burden and Start Me Up. My brother liked to play those songs a lot. And so whenever I heard Ruby Tuesday, I thought, is this the Rolling Stones? Like they do songs like this? I gotta check them out. And so I checked out their 60s albums. And whenever I got to Between the Buttons and listened to Ruby Tuesday again, it's like, this is a really good song. Like they've had great Baroque songs up to this point. I guess Tears Go By, Play with Fire, and Lady Jane. I really like the unique instrumentation in this. Ian Stewart either playing like a piano or a harpsichord, and then like Brian Jones is on the recorder. I think there's a cello in there somewhere too. But I just think it's a very unique song and definitely unique to the Rolling Stones. I subverted my expectations, and honestly, this is one of the songs that made me a Rolling Stones fan.
Now, it's funny because like one of my favorite songs on the album is one of your guys' least favorite songs on the album. And one of your favorite songs is my least favorite on the album. I never cared for this song. I don't know what's about it that I don't care for, but it's just one big thing I don't like is that it sounds like they're trying too hard to be like the Beatles. And what pisses me off is like when people are like, "Oh, I hate Satanic Majesty's Request because that sounds like the Beatles," and I'm like, this song is way worse in that aspect. And yeah, I've never. It's an okay song. I don't hate it. It's just like you'll never see me go back to this song, and it's another reason why I would rather listen to the UK version.
To be fair, I honestly cannot imagine any of the Beatles singing this song as well
I
as
could
Mick
imagine
Jagger
Paul-
singing it. If
I
it makes you
imagine
feel
Paul
any better.
doing it. I imagine Paul doing this.
I mean, he could have done this song, but I don't know. Like, just some songs work better for different artists, and I think Mick Jagger brought the magic touch on this song, much like
Yeah,
Paul McCartney did with "Yesterday."
Fair enough.
I can't
Yeah,
really see Mick Jagger singing Eleanor Rigby.
Eleanor Rigby, da, 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 da. With
Unless they did it kind of like Paint It Black, like. Eleanor Rigby picks up the rice at the church where to wear.
that would be
My mic cut out.
Interesting. But yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Scott's least favorite is one of my favorites, and one of Scott's favorites is my least favorite. So I guess it kind of works out.
I guess it balances out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Next song on the album, I feel like we'll all agree on this song being good. Connection, I just can't get no connection.
Well, yeah, this song is great. It's got a great guitar riff to it. I love the catchiness of this song, and the fact that the clever ways they were able to rhyme connection in the song is actually pretty brilliant. Because you got connection and you got inspection, and there was one other one that stood out. Direction and suspectum is another one. I'm like, how are you guys coming up with this? It's crazy. Yeah, at one point, this song was in my top 5. Re-listening to it again, it just was just shy of making the top 5.
Really?
There's other songs I'm like that just kind of just went back up, hearing it again, but still a really good song. I'm surprised it wasn't a hit because I could see this being a big hit. There's another song I'm surprised could have been a hit.
There's 2 or 3 songs on this album where I'm like, how is this not a hit?
Yeah, because the only hits on this album were we've already talked about on Ruby Tuesday and Let's Spend the Night Together. But yeah, this one's really good as well.
Okay, this song is amazing. I like Charlie Watts' drumming on this song. Mick Jagger really giving it his all. There's a very unique or interesting, should I say, chord progression going on in here when it gets to the chorus. Whenever they go, connection, I just can't get no connection. They're using one of my favorite chords, the major 3 chord, which is that's getting into the weird music theory stuff, but it's a borrowed chord from another key signature, and every time people use that chord, I really like it. One of the big examples of using like a major 3 chord is David Bowie's Space Oddity is one of them. That one uses extensive use of major 3 chords. But every time I hear that chord, it just makes you feel like, yes! That's all I can explain about that. But this song just has a groove to it. And every time I hear it, I just think, this is an amazing song.
I agree. I really enjoy this song. It's catchy, it's quick, to the point. I really love this song, and this is Keith Richards' favorite Rolling Stone deep cut. So
Oh, nice.
there's that. So yeah, even Keith Richards is like, yeah, the song is
That's
awesome.
good considering Mick Jagger hates this album.
Oh yeah, Mick Jagger
Oh,
hates
really?
this song.
I
Because
didn't
it's
think
so
Jagger
different than
hated
all their
this
other
album.
stuff. It's because it's so much different than all their other stuff. He thinks it's too poppy, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, not that, but the production choices.
I guess to make a G-rated version of what Mike Love famously said, I guess Mick Jagger didn't want him to mess with the formula.
I don't know.
But yeah, this is a great song. I definitely a highlight on this album. Definitely a song that I go back to a lot. Next song on the album, She Smiled Sweetly.
Yes.
Yeah, this is another really good song on the album. One of their slower songs, but still a great kind of like a R&B type style song, but with some really cool instrumentation on it. I love the use of organ that opens up the album, which I know Brian Jones did, and then mix that with the piano on there, which is kind of synchronized together so well throughout the song. There's a good bass on this song as well. Again, there's so many good songs on this album. It's probably towards the bottom of my ranking, but it's still a song that I highly, highly respect because of how different it sounds compared to my favorites on the album. It gets really hard ranking these songs when you got some high quality.
Yeah. I think this song is amazing. Most of the songs on this album are amazing. I like that this is kind of more of a ballad than the other songs we've had so far. And Jacob was talking about the organ. The organ really makes this song. I think it's really good.
I think Eric Burden from The Animals said it perfectly. This is a very Bob Dylan-esque track, and it sounds like it would have perfectly, if Bob Dylan covered it, it would have perfectly fitted on Blonde on Blonde. It's a great, I love the sort of like underproduction of it. He says either the songs are either over or underproduced. I think the underproducedness of this song works actually really well. I really quite like the song. This is it didn't make my top 5, but this is a great song. Last song on side 1, Cool, Calm, and Collected.
All right. I love this song. This is probably one of the most different songs the Rolling Stones have ever done. It has this ragtime feel to it, and every time I hear it, I feel like I'm at the Rolling Stones Carnival. But I mean that in a good way.
The Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus.
Yes, I love the piano in this song. I assume Ian Stewart does that. Really catchy song. Mick Jagger, I think, completely embraces the goofiness of the song, especially in the chorus where he's like, cool, calm, collected. It's just such a blast to listen to. And I'll never forget the first time I heard this song. When I heard Brian Jones do a kazoo in the middle of this song, I'm like, heck, why is there a kazoo in this song? It just adds to the overall charm of this song. And then I love how at the end of the song, like the tempo picks up and it becomes like this ragtime boogie type song. And oh man, this is a great song. This is one where I was struggling to put it in my rankings. And listening to it again, I'm like, I have to put this song in my top 5. I knocked Connection off my top 5 just to put this song on here, by the way. This song is amazing.
I love this song just because of how goofy it is. When I first heard it, I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "If Ruby Tuesday subverted my expectations for the Rolling Stones, this definitely did." Because I didn't expect the Rolling Stones to do a music hall number with a kazoo and ragtime piano. It's just something you just have to listen to for yourself to really understand what's going on. And Nick, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the chorus is sung by Keith Richards.
I'm not
Come collect. I think that part was sung by Keith Richards.
I was trying to pay attention. I was listening. I know Keith Richards sings on the closing track in the chorus. And I was trying to check if I could tell the difference between the two. I'm pretty sure Keith Richards only sang on the closing track, and it was Mick Jagger on Come Collect. To me, it sounds like Mick Jagger singing it.
So Jacob, you're correct. I looked it up. The only song that Keith Richards sings on this album, kind of, is that is the last song. Yeah, he occasionally sings. Keith Richards. He sings part of "Salt of the Earth" from Beggar's Banquet. He sings his first like regular song is "You Got the Silver" from "Let It Bleed." Great way to close out the first side. I love the song. This is like so goofy, it's so dumb. Like it's a song I shouldn't like, but I do. So there's that. Love it, love it, love it. You open up side 2 with All Sold Out.
All right. As of this stream, this is my least favorite song on the album. There's nothing about this song that really stood out to me. Even I think when they have the harmony parts doing the backing vocals, where it's like, I'm like, it's kind of corny. That's like the only thing that stood out to me when hearing it, especially the second time. I don't really have much to say on this one. This is like the only song that kind of bored me, if I'm being honest.
Oh, I think it's a pretty solid rock song. I don't like it as much as some of the other songs on the album, but I do still really like this song. I like the guitar on there and Charlie Watts' drumming.
I really like this song. This made it into my top 5.
Oh wow.
I love the kind of frantic nature of the song. Yeah, I personally really enjoy the song, but I get where you're coming from. Next song on the album, My Obsession.
All right. This is one of the tracks I was the most excited to talk about because I think this song is absolutely amazing. Nick, didn't you say that Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys said this is his favorite song from the Stones?
Yes, I did.
Oh, nice. Because I can see why he loves the song because this might possibly be the best Beach Boys song the Beach Boys ever made. I love the percussion on this song from Charlie Watts. And then you got this great piano in there from Ian Stewart, and there's a great bass part from Charlie Watts. There's some good harmonies on this track, which is probably some of the most layered harmonies the Stones has ever done. And then you got the catchiness, like, my obsession, your obsession, my obsession.
Smiling on my way.
It's such an infectious track. Again, this is another song. I'm like, was this not a hit song? This could have been a great hit song from the Stones. Like whoever was managing them at this time did not do a good job of saying, "Hey, let's pick this as a single. Let's pick this as a single." You could have had
Mr. Beat Up the Blind Man.
You could have had like 4 or 5 songs on this album to be good hit songs. Some of them could have been number ones. I don't know. Before we went live, I'll just say this. I was torn between which tracks would be my number one. It was like a 2-way battle. I won't reveal it yet, but this was one of the 2 tracks.
Oh.
I love this song.
If the other one's what I think it is, then I hope that this is number 1.
It's an amazing song.
This song is amazing. The drumming is very good. Charlie Watts and then the groove comes in, boom, 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 and Mick Jagger's vocals are very good on here. I can definitely see why this is Brian Wilson's favorite Rolling Stones song. I think the other reason that it's one of his favorite ones is because he was actually at the sessions for this particular song. But it's very groovy and infectious.
I remember this being one of me and Scott's least favorite from this album.
It grew on me.
Yes, me as well. I love the way I'm just gonna say I love the song as well. I think to me the key highlight of the song isn't any of the band members like that are playing instruments. I think it's Mick Jagger the way he's singing it. My obsession, your concession, smiling on my way. My obsession, your concession, and the use making nothing. It's just, I mean, the drumming's like my second favorite part about this song, but Charlie Watts and Mick Jagger killing it. Like, oh man, awesome song, awesome groove. I this is like the most underrated song on the album, if you ask me. This and another song. Next song on the album, Who's Been Sleeping?
I love this song.
So if My Obsession was the closest thing the Rolling Stones got to matching the Beach Boys, Who's Been Sleeping Here is the closest the Rolling Stones got to doing Bob Dylan. I felt like this could have been a good Bob Dylan song. There's some really good harmonica playing on this song, and it is a little bit folksy. There's a little bit more percussion and other things compared to some of the folksier Bob Dylan songs, but this does have a Bob Dylan feel to it. I respect the song for that, and I guess I'm glad Mick Jagger sang the song because he's a better singer than Bob Dylan. I tend to poke fun of his vocals a lot, but I do really like this song. Not a top 5, but still a really lovely song. Great production on it. I like the folksier elements of the song, and I would put this as an honorable mention.
I love this song. I think it's amazing. It is very Bob Dylan-esque. I just love the folksy feel to it. The acoustic guitar on it is very good. And some of the lyrics are kind of reminiscent of Bob Dylan as well. Like, you got the butcher, the baker, and the British grenadier. I want to know who's been sleeping here. Yeah, this is very Bob Dylan inspired. But
There's another song that could have been on Blonde on Blonde.
Yeah. It's really good. If the two Bob Dylan inspired songs, I like this one better. Even though I like She Smiled Sweetly a lot as well.
I freaking love this song.
It's amazing.
The way Jagger sings it, love the piano playing, I love the instrumentation. It's just another amazing song. They're killing it on this second side of the album. I mean, like 5 out of these 6 songs on side 2 are just absolute killer. Like, you're just amazing. Like, just masterpieces. Next song on the album, Complicated.
Why do you have to go and make things so complicated?
Oh, boy.
Wait a minute. That's the wrong song. My childhood there.
Na, 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 na.
Yeah, this Complicated is really good as well. This and Connection are very similar production-wise, and I think of the two, I actually like this song better. I love the percussion on this song from Charlie Watts. Yeah, Mick Jagger is just having a ball singing it. Some great guitar work on this song. It's just a great hidden gem of a rock song that, nobody talks about, and it's a bit of a shame because I think this could have been like a good kind of like successor to something like I Can't Get No Satisfaction. I do really like this one.
And just looking at the track listing of this, like every song on here has hit potential. Well, almost everyone. But almost every song on here has hit potential. And this one is also amazing. Jacob was saying it's kind of reminiscent of Connection. I agree with that. I like that feel. I love the na 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 section, and then it kind of goes into bum bum do 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 do. She's very complicated. Ba-da-da-da. Yeah, I like the vibe of this song. It's very good.
This is another one of my favorites on the album. I agree. I love the vibe of this too. Mick Jagger again is killing it. I feel like this album is this and Aftermath are Mick Jagger's peak vocals. I feel like he peaks in this period of the band vocally. All the way you sing it. She looks so simple in her way and does the same thing every day, but she's dedicated to having her own way. She's very complicated. Very complicated. Such a another. I agree with what Eric Burton said. I feel like Andrew Oldham drowning out his vocals in this period is such a crime because his vocals are getting really good. And I feel like this is like this, and like I said, these two albums peak Mick Jagger vocally. Next song on the album, Miss Amanda Jones.
Hey, this song is amazing. So, if my obsession was the Beatles, not why I say the Beatles, wrong series. If my obsession was the Stones channeling the Beach Boys, Who's Been Sleeping Here was the Stones channeling Bob Dylan, this is the Stones channeling Chuck Berry. And then what's really crazy to me is that the early albums when they did a lot of covers, they covered a lot of Chuck Berry songs, and some of the Chuck Berry covers I liked. You Can't Catch Me, the Route 66. The studio version, not the crappy live version. But yeah, this one, an original track written by Jagger and Richards, outshines the cover songs. The one where they pay homage to Chuck Berry is better than them actually covering Chuck Berry. Who knew, right? Really amazing guitar riff. This song is an absolute banger from beginning to end. It's another song where I'm like, man, why was this not a hit song? Like, really? Like, you're missing some golden opportunities with some amazing songs. And some of these songs, I would argue, are better than some of the hits. So, yeah, this song is really awesome. Like, this is like one of the best hidden gems I've discovered from the Rolling Stones since starting this series. Like, wow.
So I remember the first time I listened to this album when I got to this song, because we had I remember I really liked Who's Been Sleeping Here. I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. And then Complicated, it was like, wow, another good song. And then it got to this, and that guitar started up. Boom, 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 and then they got into that groove. Round and round she goes. The world of Amanda Jones. I say round and round and round and round. I was like, what is this? This is so good. I love the guitar. The guitar is so catchy on this. This is just a fun song. Like, this is amazing. And then you get to the bridge and Ian Stewart on the piano. Like that crazy piano in the middle with the bridge section with the hey girl.
Down the bridge.
Yeah, it was like, okay, I love this song. This is amazing. And I just cannot explain how much I really like this song. This isn't just one of my favorite songs on the album. This is actually one of my favorite Rolling Stones songs, period. And it's not one that a lot of people talk about. It's interesting, but I love this song. It's very good.
I'm in agreement with you, Scott. This is an extremely underrated song on the album. This makes my top 5 songs on the album. It's such an epic song. I love the Chuck Berry inspiredness of it. This is like them, like, I mean, they do it a lot in Beggar's Banquet, Let It Bleed, Sticky Fingers, and Exile on Main Street, but they take their roots from the early period on this song and they make it better. And I really, really enjoy this. Something happened to me yesterday. Before you guys give your opinions on it, I'll give my opinion on it. I actually like this song. I don't think it's the best song on the album. If we were talking about the UK version of this album, this is easily the worst song on the album. I say worst, but I like it. But yeah, it's the second weakest on the US version. I will say this is like kind of like what Jacob was saying about the Rolling Stones doing Beach Boys and then doing Bob Dylan, then doing Chuck Berry. This is the Rolling Stones trying to do the Kinks, and they do a good job at it, but they don't do a great job at it like the other three that they were trying to be inspired of.
See, I can't make the comparison to the Kinks. I know some of their biggest hits, but not like the albums that are some of your favorites, like that Village Green album you like to rave about. Like I don't know that album at all, so I can't like make a full blown comparison. I'm just going by what I've heard. This is a very weird song, like really weird song. I respect how different it is. It goes a little bit back to that music hall type thing that Cool Calm Collected did. For being the longest song on the album, it holds my attention. Very interesting lyrically. You wonder what actually did happen to him yesterday.
I looked it up. He went on a drug trip.
Yeah, that's what people say, but you can interpret it different ways, and it's still fascinating. This is probably the only Rolling Stones song probably that has a tuba on it. I actually do like the tuba on the song. To me, the two things that hold this song back for me, one, Keith Richards singing the chorus sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't think he's as good vocally as Mick Jagger. His vocal style reminds me a little bit of Bob Dylan, and that much as I respect Bob Dylan, comparing another artist to Bob Dylan vocally, probably not the best comparison. And then two, this closes the album, and this is a weak way to close the album. Like Miss Amanda Jones is an amazing way to close an album. This would have been a better, I guess, middle track on the album. Maybe you could have ended side one from this album. I think that would have been better. But yeah, those are the two things that hold this back. When I first listened to the album, this was my least favorite song on the album. But because All Sold Out, I think is just forgettable. This one is at least memorable, even though I don't love the song. So it's not my least favorite song on the album anymore after giving it a second listen. But it's only low on the ranking, mainly because it's a poor album closer.
I actually really like this song because I think it's funny. It's not one of my favorite songs on the album, but I don't know. It's just wacky with the music hall style and the tuba. And just the way he sings, like, something happened to me. Something oh so groovy. I don't know why. I just think that's really funny. And I love at the end where they're like, all right, thank you very much for joining us. We'd like to thank you all for listening. Thank our lovely producer. And if you're riding a bike home, wear white. But I guess it's more of a novelty track than a serious track on this album. Yeah. But I still think it's funny.
I do find it interesting they had two novelty tracks with similar styles, but it's like you have to prefer. You obviously have to. If there's two of something similar, you tend to prefer one over the other.
Yeah.
Cool, Calm, and Collected is the one I prefer.
Oh yeah, Cool, Calm, and Collected is much better than this song. Yeah. But I still think this one is funny.
Yeah. Well, Jacob, what is your top five?
All right. Actually, before we share the top five, I'll share my honorable mentions. I got three, and those three are Who's Been Sleeping Here, Connection, and Let's Spend the Night Together. That would have been my number 6. But top five, number 5, Complicated. Number 4, Cool, Calm, and Collected. Number 3, Ruby Tuesday.
3.
Wow.
Ruby Tuesday.
You shocked me.
I thought that was
Yeah.
going to be your number 1 there for a sec. Oh,
Me
wow.
too. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So we got a deep cut. 2 deep cuts that are my top 2.
Wow.
And I was debating over which one was my favorite. One song was number 1 when I first heard it. And I listened to it again. I'm like, no, is it this song? It was like a constant battle. But as of now, number 2, My Obsession. Number 1, Miss Amanda Jones.
Yes.
Miss Amanda Jones.
Nice.
Na-na-na.
Nice. Scott, what is your top
Okay.
5?
Oh, boy. This album is so good. Number 5. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to think for a second. Okay, I'm gonna have to start at the top and work my way down in order to make this list.
Okay.
Number 1 is Miss Amanda Jones. Like Jacob, that song is amazing. Number 2, I'll go with Ruby Tuesday. I love that song. Number 3, Let's Spend the Night Together. Number 4, Number 4, I will go with
Connection, I think.
Who's
I know
Been
you-
Sleeping? Who's Been Sleeping Here?
Okay.
And number 5, Cool, Calm, and Collected. And then honorable mention to Connection.
Cool. My top 5. Before I do that, I will do what Jacob does. I'll do my album mentions. As for my album mentions, I'll say Connection, My Obsession. That song is awesome. And Cool, Calm, Collected, and She Smiled Sweetly. My number 5 is going to be Yesterday's Papers. I'm the only one who really likes this song.
Who likes yesterday's papers?
I will agree with Eric Burden. It doesn't make sense, but I think it's such a catchy song. I really like it. Number 4, All Sold Out. It's another song I feel like I like the most out of 3 of us.
I like that one too.
Number 3, I'm going to say Complicated. I was thinking earlier today because my favorite song on the album was one song, and this song and another song were battling out. I'm like, am I gonna agree with Scott or am I gonna go with this song? And we're going for that trifecta because my number 2 is gonna be Who's Been Sleeping Here. My favorite song on the album, Miss Amanda Jones.
Yes,
Nice.
3 ways. Woo!
Trifecta, yes.
Yes, my number 1. We have a trifecta in the house, Miss Amanda Jones. It's like, this is what I call a classic rock song. It is classic all the way. You know, it's awesome. But yeah, it was a tough decision before going on the stream.
Yeah.
So Jacob, what is your score?
My score for this album. All right. So I think I'll clarify this for all of Nick's viewers. I don't know if you watch my videos or not, but I think I explained this on when I did Green River. How to qualify for a 10 out of 10 album, you have to have consistently great songs on the album, no fluff, no filler. You have to have a really great opener, and you have to have a really strong closer. Great opener, check. Great closer, no. Is there fluff on this album? I didn't care for All Sold Out. You could have cut that from the album, and I wouldn't have missed it. So I'm not going to give this a 10 out of 10 like I did Aftermath. But I still think it's a really great album. There's some songs, some of the best songs on this album rival Aftermath. I think this album is more experimental than Aftermath in some regards, some of the different styles they go for. And I respect some of the homages that they have with other artists that they admire, like the Beach Boys, Chuck Berry, Bob Dylan. which I thought was pretty cool. I think this is currently, I would say this is my second favorite Stones album behind Aftermath. And at the end of the day, I'm going to give this one, Between the Buttons, 9 out of 10.
Cool. I think it's very close to hitting the 10 mark, but it has some things that do bring it down. So I'm going to give it a 9.75, just because, yeah, I guess Something Happened to Me Yesterday isn't the strongest of closers. And I don't know, like, something about it is just, like, not quite where I would call this a perfect album.
I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. I think every song on this album, even my least favorite song on the album, Ruby Tuesday, I wouldn't be offended by listening to it. It's not like it's no hats off to Roy Crapper.
It's not garbage.
It's not. I mean, you didn't see me pull this up when I was talking about Ruby Tuesday. That should have been a good sign right there. So, I think it's a perfect album. I do prefer the UK version, but this version is great in its own right. I averaged it out. This album is a 9.5 out of 10 in our average.
Okay.
So this is the second.
So second behind Aftermath.
Yes.
All right. Works for me.
Yes. I agree.
I was surprised nobody else had My Obsession in their top 5. I thought that was going to be one that we all would have in our top 5.
That's another honorable mention.
Yeah,
I put it right under Connection.
This album's so gosh darn good. If we were reviewing out of our heads, My Obsession would be my favorite album. Or even now, or December's Children. But we're talking about some pretty big albums now. So.
Oh yeah, we're getting to that classic period of the Stones.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Once you hit Aftermath, it's like
classic periods. I feel like the true, like, the Stones is the Stones was Aftermath. So I think we're already in it.
Oh yeah.
Well, stay in tune, everyone. Next Stones review, we're going to be talking about the compilation US album, Flowers. You guys have anything you want to say before we close out for tonight?
We'll see how Flowers goes. Just judging it by the album cover, that album cover is so cringe.
Put their face on a flower.
It's actually, they used the pictures from Aftermath on it. UK Aftermath.
Well, hopefully the album is better than what the cover suggests.
It is.
What about you, Scott?
Very good album, Between the Buttons. I'm looking forward to Flowers. Music is art, art is expression, and music is expression.
Yes. My last words. This was a pleasure covering one of the best Stones albums and my favorite period of the Stones. Like I said, stay tuned for Flowers, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So long.